John Barraclough, Seth Adler, the AI and Intelligent Automation Network, Procter & Gamble.
Pleased to meet you.
Pleased to meet you in person. We've spoken many times. You're going to have to use that.
Okay.
Because this is a podcast episode. There's also accompanying video,
Yes.
which we will get to. But well, thank you so much for having me and us up here in Newcastle. The only thing I heard about Newcastle was that it is a fantastic time in the evening. And, of course, I flew in the morning, and I'm leaving in the afternoon.
It's a shame.
Yeah.
It's a shame because that is completely correct.
Yeah.
We have a fantastic nightlife here in Newcastle. We have lots to do, very diverse. It's a shame we're going to miss it.
Yeah. It's probably better for both Newcastle and me, you know, if you think about it.
Yeah.
So, you know, thanks for coming in, and we've got thanks for bringing me in, and thanks for coming in today. We've got a few different sessions that will come out. This is the first one, which is you and me, talking about what you guys are doing up here, right? So just give us a lay of the land as far as, you know, what your job title is and actually what your job function is, because sometimes those things are not.
No, sure. So currently I'm the Global Financial Shared Services Digital Leader. I am IT function. I'm an IT geek by trade and currently loving this whole fourth industrial revolution around digital.
Yeah.
Principally, a little bit of context and lay of the land is about 15, 16 months ago, we sat there and we saw a huge amount going on around what is automation, RPA, AI. There was a lot of words out there, and we needed to get really crisp and clear on what does this mean for shared services. Around our shared services at the time, we are roughly about 2,000 people.
Okay.
We are regularly benchmarked as a human executed work process top quartile in performance. And we've been a shared service for over 15 years. So we've got a very mature, lean, efficient work process. And we sat there and we said to ourselves, it feels like there's a change coming.
Right.
And what we basically wanted to do, our direction, is we took the decision to move from a human executed work process supported by technology and move it into a digital product, move it into a digital end-to-end executed work processes and then supported by humans. And what we can, and the whole plan is to really try and drive an increased output at an increased efficiency, and continue to try and move the definition of what in shared services, you know, it should never stagnate. It should continue to move up the business food chain. So over the last kind of 12, 15 months, we've got a whole team of us now globally, and a lot of them centralized here in Newcastle, who are really looking to disrupt a whole host of business processes trying to get this no-touch digital.
Yeah. It sounds like you've got that whole kind of offshoring, outsourcing mindset that we all had 15, 20 years ago again.
Yeah, I mean, it's traditional offshoring's, I think, now old school, right? I mean,
of course.
Yeah, I mean, this is now.
I'm saying conceptually.
Conceptually, yeah. This is, I mean, this is it's a disruptive transformation. It's an opportunity. So we have got a really great plan. We have got a really focused organization to try and, like I say, move that. It's not even moving the dial. It's to redefine what we're doing here. And you know, I don't want to reference it to the offshoring too much.
Understood.
You know, because you know, that was around moving work. This is about redefinition. This is
work.
Of work.
Of the work itself.
Of the work. What can we achieve? You know, how do we want to achieve it? And how do you take this 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, 10 times better than what we can do today because of what's available to us now for digital?
Yeah. So give us some sense, you know, unpack that just a bit. If I'm in your organization, if I'm affected in any way by what John does, what is John seeing? What is John's vision? What is the vision?
No, it's a great point. So first thing is, I mean, we believe our whole organization should be analysts, and I mean true analysts. The amount of data that's going to be available to us in the next 48 months is huge. Internal, external, new data created by digital processes. We need everybody to be able to take this data, to be able to consolidate it, model it, and then not just send this out onto an Excel sheet, but how do you use tools that are available, your Power BIs, your Lumiras and tools like that, to be able to really try and change the engagement of how you drive that insight into making a decision.
Yeah.
That is a blanket for everybody.
There you go.
We then think we've got a good sizable portion of our organization who are going to continue, or they need their domain mastery, it's key, but instead of walking in and executing the business process, tomorrow they're going to be governing, they're going to be looking, and they're going to be saying, how can I make this digital business process more efficient?
Yeah.
We're giving them a screwdriver, so to speak,
There you go.
instead of sitting on the manufacturing line.
There we go. Go ahead and fix it and then manage it.
And then manage it,
Yeah.
exactly. And this becomes super exciting for a lot of people because they get to use their domain mastery. And this, when we look at the spectrum of a business process of loss versus value, we're very much now playing in the second half
Certainly.
of where we're starting to head towards value.
Yeah. And that also kind of, when I speak to others, the term FTE comes up. And so if there were a conversation around FTE, it would be total redeployment as opposed to, seeing that as cost savings or anything.
Yeah.
That is not part of your ethos.
No,
It doesn't
no.
sound like.
This is, we are very deliberate to never think of this as a productivity play.
Yeah.
I think if we look at this as just a productivity play, I think we will be missing a huge opportunity.
Yeah.
What we see this as is everybody will upscale their work. We will take on more work. We will free up more work further in the business.
Yeah.
That enables them to continue to work on the high-end, high-value work and try and ultimately drive more money in for P&G.
Yeah.
Like I say, so we're excited by that. The big push that we've got is we now really bring in UX.
Sure.
As an opportunity, and this will be taught throughout the day. But I think when we look at these redesigns, we never look at how can we automate what we do today.
Yeah.
We focus on what can we achieve, what is our maximum output in the future, what do our users want, what's possible, and then we redefine and we develop for that. So, the FTE, that's what I want to say, that are saved within a one process will be elsewhere.
Yeah.
They'll continue to work in further up the food chain, in the business food chain.
And you say you use the word productivity, and we are supposed to be having coffee.
We are.
So,
we'll take the coffee.
Yeah, I'll make the question long. So, you could speak of productivity as productivity down. What about productivity up? And then measuring that productivity. You're talking about a whole new business. While you're kind of redefining it, are you also redefining metrics to ensure that whoever's looking at that scorecard up there sees, without question, yes, we're playing in the value sphere, and here's how, here are the metrics to support that.
That's a great question, actually.
Well, I made it long, and then now it was a good question too. I apologize.
No, it's a really great question. So, on the short term, if we look at process by process, we are redefining what success looks is. We now look at number of touches.
Right.
We look at how many times a human has touched a business process. Should they have touched it? To think that humans shouldn't touch a business process end to end is unrealistic. Because we want them to play in the value. But what we can do with these new data sets and what we can do with this new digital is we can see where people are actually playing in the business process. And we can get very transparent and visible on, this business process was touched 500 times this month. Half of it was through customer queries, people coming and asking questions. That tells us we've got a UX challenge.
Right.
We need to then invest our time to look at how do we turn this UX challenge around, that they can get what they need. The other 25% could be process issues where we've spat out business processes where we've got odd exceptions, and we need to look at how we run process development further downstream in kind of dependent or sub-dependent processes to make that clean, and then there'll be pieces around the infrastructure.
Right.
And it challenges us, do we have the right tools? Do we have the right infrastructure set up to what we want to achieve? So when we talk around showing people around KPIs, I think that's a good way of how we're going to do that.
Sure.
And then we can start to look at where else do we go. Right now we've taken this business process, and then I think if we can show that the number of level 3 business processes that we're driving into this kind of this end-to-end digital, the number that we can create a digital product for,
yes,
that that will help us then continually evolve this and drive this through. So number of digital products and number of human touches is probably the 2 KPIs that will be around digital. We'll need to make sure the other ones remain in place around the success. We need to make sure we close legal entities. We need to make sure we submit our tax returns.
Yeah.
That stuff doesn't go away.
Right.
What evolves is these 2.
Got it. All right. So, and then pace of change and number of, but within the context of doing business.
Yeah.
So going back to UX, is that how are you looking at that now? I know that it's a goal to improve that, and it's a goal to kind of have that be a focal point. What more can you share?
There's many different methodologies, isn't there? When you look at Lean, is voice of the customer, voice of the user. You've got UX, you've got all of these. But principally, what we want to do is before we do anything, we need to make sure that we develop a relevant business process. And we think the only way to get relevance is to understand the customer and the users. Because fundamentally, if they're bought in and they've got clear requirements, then what we create will be relevant and will achieve what we want to do.
Right.
Now, there's a great paradigm going through again around digital where we don't fully, nobody really fully understands where this goes and where it evolves. So we run the UX. It's a great enabler to get us a baseline on what we want to achieve.
Yeah.
We don't say, let's run UX and this is us locked forever.
Right.
But we really invest with the users. We run through the whole UX methodology, the empathy and prototyping, kind of persona maps, the whole lot. It's it's a great experience that we give, and we try and create an experience for our customers and users in these workshops, so they feel like they're part of the problem, part of the solution.
Right. Yeah. Sure.
That's another great driver, and all of this drives adoption. So all of our transformations, they all run off starting with UX and customer-driven output. Our coaching, and again, you've got a mix. You've got a lot of people who are now becoming digital leaders or mature in this space in P&G. We also have a job to educate them during these workshops to say, look, here's what's possible. Think bigger, bigger. And we really try and kind of push the envelope and stretch the boundaries of what's possible. And it keeps coming down to that paradigm of what's needed versus what's possible. And the play that you see from a lot of the people here, and a lot of what we're trying to achieve, is we're chasing what's possible versus what's needed.
Right. Yeah. I saw you're busy. Is that fair to say?
It is.
Yeah.
No, it is. But we've refocused. We had lots of work going on across our shared services. What we've really done is we've focused this into a really clear kind of program of work. We've repatriated work, kind of leaders across. A lot of them that you'll speak to today. And we're very deliberate with this. We are really pushing ourselves to try and really kind of make the switch by 2020. That's our stretch. That's what we want to do. That's the goal. That's what we want to achieve.
By 2020 or within 2020? Somewhere in between.
Within 2020. Yeah. What's a couple of months between friends?
Yeah, exactly. Speaking of friends, I'm going to change the subject here. I hope you don't mind.
Sure. No.
All right. So most of the folks, you mentioned you're from the IT function.
Yes.
Most of the folks that I speak to, and you probably know this from going to events, come from the business side when we're talking about intelligent automation. How do you find your work differently than when you speak to your colleagues at other, large-scale enterprises who are coming from the business side? Because it's 90%, 10%, right? You're in the minority coming from the IT function.
No, that's a good question again. I think it becomes a little bit situational by area. I mean, in the financial shared services, historically what we've got with our IT function is a lot of them have gone through the lean trainings. A lot of them have been through the UX, the agile trainings. It's just...
So you're cheating.
So we're cheating.
Right, yeah.
I wouldn't say cheating. I'd
well,
say...
what I mean, you've got business mindset within the IT function.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And but those key methodologies are the emphasis of how to design and deliver for digital, right? However, to say this is an IT play in FSS is not really there. We've got a lot of people in the business. I think we've got 1,500 people who can data model in 9. We've got 200 people that can develop in RPA. We've got, I think it's about 700 that can develop in Lumira. Right. Because we see this as everybody. Sure. Now, some of the core leaders that you'll speak to and will see, yes, they're IT coded, but that's just through design of, in the past life, our function has focused on Agile, UX, and Lean. Right. But what we've really brought to the table now for our finance function, and this is globally, is they're all now starting to invest in the digital skills and the digital methodologies. So yes, we were the early adopters, but the rest of the guys are catching up, and we've got some really great kind of hybrid teams in place. In our global application development team, and we've got a great kind of team internally. Develop a lot of this. It's hybrid. We've got a mix of F&A and IT people. There is no wall there. There is no wall. I think what will become more obvious in the future is less organization barriers you can put in place. Sure. The better this is. So we should never talk around functions. We should never talk around departments who deliver whatever. It should just be a set of awesome dudes who want to achieve something awesome.
And women, for that matter. That's one of the sessions, right?
Well, they can be dudes. And
yes, all the young dudes. That's not a male or female thing. So when I speak to, what would your advice be to me when I'm speaking to business-minded folks, business side folks who say IT side, business side? How do I help? How do we all help kind of take down those walls?
Nice. Okay. No, it's a good one. I mean, we've played this purely off skill sets. Yeah. We've looked at the model, that what we've needed to do. We've had an overall change leader, and that change leader, what we've said is, we need you lean qualified. We need you to have domain mastery. We need you to understand Agile. Okay. And we've left it at that. Right. And what we've said is, who is the right person to fill that role? It doesn't matter if it comes from IT, finance, product supply, wherever. Yeah. We then said, to execute this, we need a good structured scrum. We need a scrum master who's professional scrum master qualified. We need a team of developers. We need a hybrid of domain expertise with technical expertise. And we've literally left a blank piece of paper. And that's worked really, really well. So when you go out and speak to other businesses, they need to get really crisp on the roles. They need to get really crisp on what skill sets they want. I would then find people to fit them from wherever they are. I wouldn't try and force fit and fudge roles into positions. Right. And then the last thing where we've seen great success is everybody needs to then play their position. Yeah. Yep. You need, if you're a defenseman, just play your defense. Do that. Yeah. If we're rowing, we need a lot of people in that boat rowing. Right. We only need one person pointing where to go. Right. And we only need one person motivating the rowers. It's the coxswain, I believe. The coxswain. Yes, exactly. Yeah. Thank you. No,
my cousin was in crew.
Oh, really?
I certainly was not. What about you? So you're from where? Where are you from?
So I'm from Leeds originally, which is 90 miles south of here.
When did you know that you were going to be in intelligent automation? I kid. What was your upbringing in terms of getting into business? What was your interest?
So through school, I was actually heavily into sport.
Oh, you were?
Oh, I was. I was a swimmer and a soccer player.
Thank you. Football.
Football.
Where on the pitch?
I was centre defence. So for those that don't know, I'm a pretty tall guy. Yes. I'm pretty stocky. Right. I'm not the most mobile. Right. So centre defence worked really well for me.
Peter Crouch type? Is that what you? He was tall.
Alexi Lalas.
Sure, that's an American.
That's an American guy. Yeah, I'm trying to translate.
We're going back and forth. I'm doing.
It's
British,
nice. Yeah, no, but I am. It was probably through kind of what we call the kind of 15, 16-year-old when you start to look at universities and what you want to do. It was just where it was becoming obvious what IT was going to do. we just slowly started. Well, we were still on dial-up modems.
Right. Right.
However, it was becoming obvious that everybody was already moving to this.
It was all going internet.
It was all going internet.
Right. Right.
And I took the decision then I wanted to be part of it.
Yeah. So you went to university, I would imagine, right after the millennium, right?
Yeah, just after the millennium. Right. On the millennium, went to university. Went to a school. I was nervous, of course. I wanted to. The opportunity was also how do you use technology to impact the business?
Sure.
Like that was whenever you spoke or you saw early leaders of technology, it was interesting. They were never, I do software development on its own, or it was never. It's always actually been an and.
Yeah.
How am I technologically savvy?
Yeah.
And how am I business savvy? And how do I put them together? People seem to think it's changed, and Zuckerberg's become super kind of, in the last 10 years, the obvious one, but it's never changed.
Yeah.
Like, this has always been the same. So I took a business and IT degree. I did actually a placement here in Procter & Gamble. Worked at the R&D centre, working with diodes, washing machines, and the early analytics of trying to get us down to the 40-degree wash.
Right, sure.
And then came back here straight after university. Worked basically half my life doing waterfall methodology, large-scale implementations, corporate restructures, acquisitions, divestitures, and then the other half has been disruption, digital disruption, ever since kind of 2004. And the two areas has worked really well because sometimes it's good just to get yourself out of being continually disruptive and challenging and pushing and just going to work, getting a break, going and working on something big. And there's something very, very good about feeling that a huge waterfall methodology, delivering that, and then you do that for a couple of years and go, right, I'm ready to go back in now. And then you spend a couple of years being disruptive. So that's my career's been split that way, and it's worked pretty well.
Yeah, I would imagine it is nice to complete the project and not be, oh, here comes John again, disrupting.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, no. And as much as we really try and emphasize and get people on the journey with us, there's always a bell curve, and there's always people on the backside of the bell curve that we need to work with, and but it's good to have that break.
That's it. We'll talk about change management maybe later, because at this point we've got to move on.
Yes.
I will give you 3 personal final questions.
Okay.
I'll tell you what they are, and then I'll ask you them in order.
Okay.
What's most surprised you at work along the way? You just gave us a highlight of your career. What's most surprised you in life? And on the soundtrack of your life, one track, one song that's got to be on there. But first things first. Along the way there, being a practitioner, being a disruptor, being from the IT function, and then breaking down all those walls to kind of bringing everyone together. Kumbaya, John, kumbaya. What's most surprised you at work?
Wow. Okay. So we work for a $65 billion company. I've been surprised by when we get this right, just how big it can go.
Sure.
It plays Moore's law, and there is times when I was junior in my career, we did a digital reporting service, and we got it right, and within 9 months it had gone across 23 different countries, been scaled, kind of turned into this huge multi-million-dollar. I was kind of sat there going, how did that happen? But so what surprises me is when we get this right in this size company, everyone seems to think we're slow.
Right.
You work for a big behemoth like this, and we're slow, and that's actually not the case, because when we get this right, it flies, and that surprised me.
Yeah, exponential change, exponential growth.
Exactly, and because I'd never really materialized or understood that concept of just how quickly it can happen in a company this size, but it happened.
What's most surprised you in life?
I'm going to be a little bit soppy, and so I had I've recently, 2-3 years, had 2 children. How to reprioritize my life?
Sure.
To focus on
your last
this career is hugely important to me.
Sure.
I want to be able to make a difference. I want to enjoy it. Honestly, if I don't have my family and I don't have it's meaningless.
Yeah.
So that surprised me in life, because I was very, very career focused before I had my children.
Yeah. And they've straightened you out.
They've straightened me out. They've driven that difference or that reprioritization, and I never thought that was possible.
All right. Well, anything is possible, John. If you just put your mind to it.
There you go.
All right. So on the soundtrack of your life, and you're from Leeds, we've discussed the fact that you've never heard Live at Leeds by The Who. I believe I referenced a Mott the Hoople song earlier, but that's neither here nor there. What what song must be on the soundtrack of your life?
I would so my song. There's a song by Shed 7. They're actually a band from near where I grew up.
Okay.
90s band.
Okay.
So
I remember it.
During my era, and they've got a song called "Chasing Rainbows."
Oh, look at you.
Yeah.
Huh.
And it is a beautiful song.
Yeah.
And that's generally what I feel like I'm going to spend the rest of my life doing. Is we're going to be chasing rainbows.
Chasing rainbows.
Yeah.
John Barraclough.
Thank you.
Very much appreciate this session. Let's get on to the rest of it.
Brilliant. Thank you.